So the scene starts with Spider-Man talking to Sadie Sink. She throws him this green gadget, and he realizes what it is before being clocked with a desk. This gadget was the one Bruce Banner had on his arm to suppress the Hulk from coming out. And well, since it's off, this is the first major fight scene in Spider-Man Brand New Day, Spider-Man versus the Hulk. There are two other fight scenes in this movie that show a few key pillars of how the villains and Spider-Man fight in these scenes, and how they each lead to Spider-Man being able to win, starting with the Hulk fight scene. So, Spider-Man was chatting with Sadie Sink, and then she throws him the little gadget, which turns out to be Bruce Banner's inhibitor. Peter looks up, and then gets hit by a desk. It's Professor Hulk. Peter's trying to protest, but Banner grabs him by the back of the head and slams him through walls just with his head, then picks him up again by the head and slams him on the ground. Then he charges through the hallway at Peter, just like the Black Widow chase in Avengers 1, and Peter jumps up on the wall in the ceiling and uses his momentum to halt Banner and slam him down. Hulk breathes hot air in his face and then slams him on the ground, just like Loki, and then Hulk smashes him. Peter dodges the second one, and then two flash grenades come in and Hulk's getting shot at by the Punisher. He's just yelling, he's just like, "Ugh!" And it's actually pretty effective. You can see here, it looks like he got Hulk in the eye with the LMG. Compared to the Hulk in Avengers, where he gets shot at by alien machine guns, this is incredibly impressive. And it's probably because he's the Professor Hulk here and not a true angry Hulk. So he's a little bit weaker and smaller, all that stuff. But Spider-Man takes his web shooters out, catches it, and throws it at the Hulk, catching him in the web. He's done this countless times in this movie. It's like a classic Spider-Man move in here, using a capsule of his web shooters as a web grenade. The Punisher and Spider-Man argue for a second. It's kind of hilarious. They just bicker constantly, and Hulk stomps the ground. This is a classic move done by Hulk in pretty much everything, to stomp the ground and have it ripple down and crack through the floor and inflict some kind of damage, just because he's so big. It's similar to the Hulk smash type of thing. He just does big, crazy things. Hulk launches at Spider-Man. Spider-Man webs the ceiling and grabs Frank, and we get this cinematic shot of Frank screaming while the Hulk overshoots him. Frank grabs this weird grenade thing, throws it at the Hulk, and Hulk's like, "Really?" But Punisher shoots the grenade and it throws Hulk back. The point of this is, think about how much reception people have for the Punisher. People love him, and normally he fights humans. He fights on a smaller scale. And essentially what this right here is doing, it's displaying that he's smart enough and brave enough, and possibly dumb enough, to actually succeed in this level of fighting. A second ago, Spider-Man said, "This is way above your pay grade, dude." You know Spider-Man's being serious when he's using these two-hand gestures here. So even though these are all super able beings, this is kind of giving Punisher a win, saying, hey, he can run with us. He can be with the big leagues. So while Hulk's down, Spider-Man and Punisher keep bickering. And it's a hilarious dichotomy going on here. This duo is so funny. And also Frank as a character, and John Bernthal really, could just be so hilarious because he could play a stupid, hard-headed role so well. He's done it in so many other movies before too. Like look, they're arguing on the security camera. Spider-Man's like, he's trying to move on, and Punisher is still arguing at Spider-Man, standing with a bunch of arms waving around too, even though Spider-Man's already walked away. It literally shows his character so unbelievably perfectly. He's so funny in this movie. They start discussing plans. Punisher presents his plan like some genius idea. He says, "That's the highest casualty producing threat. You contain it. I'll go find the source and take it down." Spider-Man's like, "Are you just trying to get out of fighting the Hulk?" "I guess so." And just before they leave, they still can't stop bickering. "Do not kill her."
Start with that soft serve bullshit.
Let me tell you something. Let me ask you this. 2 seconds later, he gets possessed, by the way. Bruce is laying on the ground, and he's talking about his inhibitor, and Spider-Man hands him the inhibitor, but tells him to put it on. And this is where Banner turns into a bit of a dunce. He's about to put it on, but he's like, "Oh, my head hurts," or something. This is the stupidest part of this whole movie. How easy is it to put this stupid inhibitor on? They definitely could have scripted this differently to make it so Banner didn't look like a complete idiot, or make it some way that's just not aggravating to the audience. Spider-Man's like, "Please put the inhibitor on," and Banner lashes out at him like a teenager. He starts to turn into the Hulk, and if anybody feels the same about this, let me know. But this roar and slam right here, it's just something about it feels either nostalgic or like he's actually resisting the Hulk coming in. Like it feels so real. Maybe it's the way he shakes his head, maybe it's the tone of the roar, but something about it hits me in a specific way. Then he starts to really get big, and he ends up fully transformed, and Spider-Man sees him get absolutely massive for a quick beat. The Punisher says,
Whoa. Good luck with that, Peter.
That is extremely creepy. I've never seen John Bernthal act like that, in that way, walking with how it looks like a stick up his butt. That's just uncanny. I'll tell you what, man. And the action starts, where Hulk goes for Spider-Man's foot and slams him, like Loki. So far, the main Hulk moves that we've seen so far are the stomp and this slam of the body. And there's one more that we're about to see. Spider-Man gets on his back, but Hulk runs him through multiple walls, and Hulk goes to grab down at him, but he springs back with his arms, which is just super cool. Then this sequence right here is awesome. Hulk's chasing after him, and what he does is just create a bunch of webs in the hallway to slow him down. The camera basically just twists with Peter. Oh my gosh, it's so awesome. It looks so cool. This right here is a poster shot for sure. Banner's stuck, but he does a Hulk clap, which is insanely powerful. This is the third main thing they have the Hulk doing, which is this thunderclap. He's done that a lot. It's just a classic Hulk move. Spider-Man grabs a shocker thing while the Hulk charges at him and throws him straight through the wall. Hulk catches him midair and stops him from falling by grabbing onto the wall, and it slams Peter up against the wall. So far, Spider-Man really hasn't been able to do much, and he's getting the brakes beaten off of him. Then we get a slow-mo of this inhibitor chip, where he misses it at first, but then catches it by webbing it. There's probably like 15 different callbacks to the Raimi franchise here in this movie, with him getting mutated webs on his wrists, and the way he has to figure out how to shoot them, and other stuff. But this one specifically is literally Spider-Man 3, him dropping the ring, and it dinks off his hand. And just as a side note, by the way, in that movie, him being able to find the ring again while it's still falling is like top 10, yeah right, that totally happened. Anyway, if I was Spider-Man in this situation, I totally would have caught this small inhibitor chip too, so I can relate to this. Then Hulk whips Spider-Man around the building, which Spider-Man uses to start wrapping webs around the Hulk and trap him against the wall. Hulk's able to push off the wall. Then there's a bunch of falling debris where Spider-Man goes over this piece of the wall and through this and punches. Sort of like a callback to Spider-Man 3 again. When he's saving Gwen Stacy from falling off the building, he's going through the falling debris. Spider-Man goes to punch him again, but Hulk stops it and slams debris on him. Keeps punching at him, holds him by the head, and Peter's like, "Banner, it's me. This isn't you." And the Hulk starts to recognize him and chill out a little. And I'm pretty sure the reason Hulk starts to lighten up here and eventually lets go is because the Hulk actually remembers Peter, even though Banner doesn't, because his mind is separate from Banner's mind, who's the one that got wiped by Doctor Strange. So that's essentially the Hulk fight scene. Some more stuff happens, whatever. But all in all, in that fight scene, the biggest thing we can see is that Hulk's three main moves there were smashing on the ground, stomping the ground, and then doing the thunderclap. And Spider-Man the whole time, even though he's getting absolutely obliterated by the Hulk, he stops Punisher from trying to fight him. He basically does everything in containment instead of actually trying to inflict any damage onto the Hulk, which is pretty much the main theme of the final fight against the Hand. So for him to get to that, he starts outside the prison where these guards are guarding, and this guy says, "Process has commenced." And Spider-Man behind him says, "What process?" This guy turns and looks at him. Spider-Man says, "Hey, whoa, that's a pretty serious look there, dude." Hey, that's a pretty serious look there, dude. Oh, that's hilarious. Everyone's just kind of pointing guns at Spider-Man, and he's like, "All right, are we serious? You guys joking?" So he starts gearing up to fight. He's stretching. He's asking them if they stretch. Just quick small talk. Then the action starts by these guys in the back shooting at Spider-Man, and he slides away from them and flips over the bullocks and off the wall. I always thought that looked a little bit weird, but cool at the same time. It's just really unique. Very creative. But then he grabs this guy and swings the web over to kick this guy, and uses the web to trip this guy. And look at that airtime he got on there. Then he slings this guy at the wall and sticks him in the wall. Then he sticks this gun to this lady, jumps on top of her, and uses a little judo backward roll takedown, but instead transfers that takedown into pushing him and her up onto the fence and then webs her. This kind of strength would be so awesome in real life. That's so cool. Then these dudes come in with these shocker things. Spider-Man blocks with his forearm, and I guess they just don't do that much damage to him. Even though it looks like they're meant to do damage to superheroes, he just kind of blocks them, no big deal. He dodges both of them swinging, and here, they both swung high at Spider-Man. He dodged under their swing. So their next plan is to have one of them swing high and one of them swing low. Therefore, it's guaranteed to hit him, right? But what Spider-Man does, because he's Spider-Man, is he dodges diagonally, running parallel to the trajectory of where they're going on the swing. So he never gets hit. And then to transfer that momentum, he rolls it into this insane flip. That's super cool. That whole thing he just did was very, very cool. And I don't think you even have to be super able to do this kind of flip. Tom Holland probably just did that. Then these guys are actually super angry. Not sure why he gets so worked up. He swings at Spider-Man, who jumps over it and uses this guy to then flip kick, blocking the baton he's holding and putting his head down, then kicking him down again. Then he just webs this dude in the face, and I guess it's over. So that's quick, but it was actually a fun little sequence. I actually really liked it. The style of fighting in this Spider-Man movie is a little more artsy and a little more stylish. There's a little bit of exaggerated swagger to not only the style of fighting, but also the swinging and just all the choreography. So now Spider-Man's in the prison, and he has to fight against the Hand, where all these guys are actually being controlled by Jean Grey. Similar to the Hulk, really with anybody Spider-Man fights in this movie, but specifically here, these guys aren't even fighting Spider-Man. This is all just Jean Grey's work. So he has to think about containing these people and making sure they don't, defeat him. So he's trying to survive, but he's also not using much aggression or actually trying to hurt them. So they all attack him, and what he does here to start is he's just slapping weapons away. Just a ton of parrying, pure defense. Then this person strikes at his knee, he blocks this swing, and then he catches this sword at the wrist and pulls it over and kicks him back. Then they all swing at him basically in succession with each other, and this person is like the final attack, where they kick Spider-Man back. The entire Hand jumps at him in succession succession, and Peter's like, God, that's cool. Hey man, I'm right there with you. He dodges one, then blocks one, then gets hit, one by one. So it seems like the hand's ability to wear Peter down is just through these successive strikes. Boom, boom, boom. Where it's almost part of the strategy for him to dodge the first one, block the second one, and then they can get their lick off on the third one. Peter dodges this one so hard he jumps up into the fence, and the hand uses this to have this lady climb up to Spider-Man up there, because they all move essentially as one unit, since they're all controlled by Jean Grey. They play a little bit of tag, and it looks like they're having a jolly time. But check out this camera work right here. Spider-Man webs this dude's foot, and then just like in the hallway scene with the Hulk, the camera is spinning around to stay on axis with Spider-Man, to where he's standing on the ceiling and now fighting these guys like that. It's just super creative how the camera work was done here. Spider-Man is trying to get into this door, but then these guards come down and shoot at his webs, breaking them. So those little guns are like anti-web technology. It breaks his web, and that's going to be super important in a second. Spider-Man's falling back, and this lady kicks him while he's down, essentially, which is so mean. He's already falling. And then he lands face planting on the ground like an iPhone. This guy attacks him, where he dodges like this and then blocks his next attack. And Jean Grey is talking to him through this guy, basically psychological warfare. Spider-Man does elite dodging to duck under, and Jean's able to kind of surprise him by having this dude stab himself into Spider-Man. I didn't really like Jean Grey in this movie, personally. I don't think Sadie Sink was a very good fit for the role, and her mind controlling this dude to stab himself, probably kill himself, just to get a tiny lick on Spider-Man, I don't mess with it, especially with how the plot ends up with Jean Grey. You know, she's a villain in this movie. Spider-Man goes to web this lady, but actually gets it broken off. Bit of an oh crap moment. Then these guys swing at him. He has to catch with both forearms. I'm really wondering what these shocker devices do, because they really don't seem to do anything to Spider-Man, even though they look like they should. He's occupied with them. These two come in with these other electricity things and stab him in the stomach, and then he gets bombarded with all of them. Takes like 5 licks, and then he catches this one, and it zaps his wrist, breaking the web shooter on his other arm. Now he's like, double oh crap. Both my web shooters are gone. Now here's something I've talked about on my Brant Unlocks channel, but right here he grabs this guy's arm and behind his head and then throws him. Now this is sort of like Spider-Man using an anchor, because he's fighting against a group here. And what he probably should have done here is use this one guy as a shield against the rest of the group and then throw him at the people in front of him, instead of just immediately to the side here. This guy jumps on this guy's back and is able to swing his energy sword down at Spider-Man very creatively. They get more licks on him, and then this guy swings at his head, where Spider-Man takes such a cool fall. I feel like you don't see a fall like this in movies typically. That might be a little bit of over-analyzing, but it's like how it feels whenever you fall as a kid, like on a trampoline or something. It's just super realistic in how awkward the way he falls is. It's just, I like it. Peter's roughed up, so he takes his mask off. I bet he's got a pretty severe headache going on. He's not looking too good. This dude's looking at him like, oh yeah, I'm gonna toast you, pal. Jean Grey's talking to him about something I don't really care about, and Spider-Man rips the inhibitor from his neck, and then his eyes turn black. This is supposed to be a big realization moment, but you kind of have to watch the movie for it to make sense. So then this guy jumps down at Peter, and Peter stops the sword with his webs from the side, and in terms of physics, this is pretty inefficient, but that's why it's so cool, because it's showing off his true strength now and his real abilities. And then he shatters the sword. When I first saw this, I went absolutely insane. Actually, just kidding. No, I didn't. In fact, I went the opposite of insane. I was totally chilling. You know why? Because it was in the trailer a million times. I saw this moment happen so many times that, you know, I was expecting it. Same thing with the Hulk fight scene. All the best parts of this movie, I was expecting. They totally could have handled that completely different. Peter punches this dude so hard, he goes up into the sky, and there's these spikes here, but he actually webs him, so he just barely doesn't get impaled. And this shuriken comes at him, and he watches it go past him in slow motion, which again feels like another callback to the punch from Spider-Man 1, where everything's moving in slow motion for him. Then they throw a million shurikens at him, and he's just dodging them like it's nothing, and then he goes beast mode. He dodges underneath this dude, blocks this, redirects this lady, and then his forearm actually obliterates this thing. And he's just like, whoa, I'm so strong now. Whoa. And these guys are pointing these guns at him. And if you remember from earlier, they obliterate his webs. But now that he has his mutations out, he webs them, and the guns don't have any effect on them because he's mutated or whatever. They're much stronger. So now he's surrounded, and what he does is he swings up, and they try to jump up after him. And he gets to the top, kind of flips upside down, and then webs the sides and spins himself down. These shots are awesome. This movie has amazing camera work. This stuff looks so cool. He has the webs go sideways as he goes through the hand, catching the web at the bottom. He gains the potential energy and slings back up in slow-mo, trapping everyone in the hand in the web, and then he busts through the door at Jean Grey. That's it. So the biggest issue I have with that scene is just that spinning part at the end, or the part at the sword, or the Hulk. I'd already seen it in the trailers a million times, and I also knew the main parts of this movie that were gonna happen. I knew what they were, just from the trailer. So none of it was a surprise. It didn't have me as gripped as it could have been, just because I kind of was already spoiled. And I think that's why whenever I finished the movie, I was like, it's cool, but it felt anticlimactic. Like when it was over, I was just kind of less shocked that it was over. I was expecting there to be more. And I think for a Spider-Man movie, it hit most of the marks. There could have been a little more action, but the main issue is that they just gave away their best cards before the movie even came out. But anyway, overall, the Hulk does a stomp, he slams people around, and he does a thunderclap as his main moves in his fight scene. Spider-Man throughout this whole movie did mostly containment. You hear a lot about how Spider-Man always holds back. He's always holding back his true powers. And I think this movie is a great testament to that because it feels like he held back this entire movie. Even in that final fight when he's mutated and so much stronger, it feels like he's holding back in terms of just doing everything as efficiently as possible to make sure no one gets actually hurt without causing that much damage. But overall, it's a great movie. You know, the Punisher and Spider-Man duo is just absolutely hilarious. It's absolutely perfect. I love it so much. If you have any movie requests, check the Google form in the link below. And yeah, this is the first video on the Brain on Legends channel. Please suggest more superhero fight scenes for me to go over. I'm so excited to make a bunch of videos for this channel. So subscribe because bangers are inbound. It's gonna be awesome. And yeah, great movie. Awesome fight scenes. New video soon. Peace.